Many thanks to Job, Jaren, DayZ Podcast, Taggy's Tag West, Black Knight and Lion Lost for making this video possible.
The long-awaited legendary Longhorn we lost long ago no longer longs to be alone and is liable to let loose its long-range leaded lead over parallel pistols in DayZ on the limbs of the unlucky, still likely lineup of players lacking the enlightenment of Longhorn's return. So to avoid the same fate, let's learn the limits of the Longhorn. The Longhorn pistol is otherwise known as the Encore and is one of the most powerful pistols in DayZ and debatedly the most powerful item that fits in just 10 slots in your inventory in both the chest holsters and it fits in one hand too. Due to it being one-handed, you stand like a badass 1700s outlaw in the Wild West, ready to duel some weeaboo basement dwellers that consume an unhealthy quantity of anime. And with how the Longhorn will one-shot in the chest or the back of the player, it makes the perfect weapon for dueling, not just because of the damage, but the fact that you only get one shot before a reload is required, putting it in the same basket as the BK-18, which is also break action, which we'll compare it to later. For now, the reason the Longhorn one-shots is because of its powerful 308 round, which is used by the Tundra or Winchester, the Blaze, the LAR and the newly added 550 Savannah. However, as you might expect, the damage of the Longhorn is much less than these weapons, due to the barrel length being shorter, barely being able to one-shot a player at close range. In fact, if you go beyond 30 meters, you can no longer one-shot kill a player in the chest or the back, but it will still leave them unconscious for a short amount of time. Against infected, because of the nerf damage this gun has, it will one-shot infected in the chest or the back or the arms. When it comes to low or medium tier infected, if you don't know what they are, here's a video going over the tiers of infected, but will still require 2 shots to kill military infected unless you hit them in the head. Now with a weapon like the Longhorn, you really do need to shoot only when you're sure of a hit, because it comes with a 4-second reload each and every single time that you shoot. The reload speed of the Longhorn is slightly faster than that of similar break action weapons such as the BK-18 or the Blaze, but unlike these two, the Longhorn doesn't have any iron sights to speak of, so will likely spawn with its optic attached in hunting and civilian locations like it used to when it was in the game before. If you are going to use it without the optic, you have to aim between the rail here, do not use the flat part here like I was doing when I first started. Without an optic, the Longhorn is accurate up to around 250 meters if you're using these weird iron sights, which is mainly down to how fast the 308 round is, because the Longhorn only zeroes up to 25 meters and is fixed zeroing. However, when you add the optic, which is the same optic for the Deagle, the pistol optic, the zeroing is increased to 150 meters in increments of 50 meters, and the accuracy on the Longhorn is increased by 33% up to around 350 meters. Now you can take the Longhorn to around 400 to 450 meters, but at this range the drop of the weapon's nerfed bullet speed makes it difficult to hit targets because you have to aim well above them. Personally, I'm not going to be attempting shots on targets further away than 300 meters away with the Longhorn, as it will no longer KO a target beyond 300 meters if you hit them in the chest or the back. And because of the single shot break action nature of the Longhorn, it gives your enemy 5 seconds to do whatever they want before you can return fire and put pressure on them again. Other than the optic, the only other attachment for the Longhorn is the improvised suppressor, which blocks the iron sights like it does with a lot of guns, if you can call these iron sights, and will even block some of the vision of your pistol optic too. Like the Savannah we tested recently, the Longhorn also destroys the improvised suppressor in 4 shots, so it seems to be related to the ammo type that's used, not the weapon, but it doesn't matter when it comes to the Longhorn anyway. I say this because when the Longhorn was first added to DayZ on the old engine back in 2014, which I also did a guide for, the Longhorn was wildly loud and had a very unique sound to boot, which adds immensely to the awesome aura surrounding the Longhorn. However, in 1.17 you can no longer hear the Longhorn at around 700 meters, and it's not as loud or unique up close either. I was kind of hoping for more of an over-the-top sound for this weapon, because I believe it's one of the core characteristics that made the old Longhorn so unique, but that might just be me. Compared to other pistols, you can't really touch the Longhorn in terms of damage or range, but they certainly do have less recoil than the Longhorn, which has the same recoil as a double-barrel shotgun. And while the Longhorn does sit inside the pistol category, I do believe it's powerful enough to transcend to the rifle category, or even a low-tier sniper rifle category, simply due to its damage and range. To show you what I mean, most comparable to the break-action Longhorn is the break-action BK-18, not the sawn-off version by the way, firing the 7.62 by .39s, which due to its increased damage may seem like a better choice at first, as you can see here, but there are plenty of stats here that are better for the Longhorn. What makes the Longhorn a clear winner in my book though is how quickly the BK-18 drops off in damage. This is due to the air friction on the 7.62x39 rounds. At their maximum effective ranges, the Longhorn is doing 10 extra damage compared to the BK-18 at around 300 meters. Even though it starts out weaker, the more powerful 308s shine through. So comparing it to the next best similar weapon then, the sawn off Mosin gets a shot at the Longhorn, looking very similar on this chart, but in terms of damage drop off, the Mosin is certainly better for health damage and especially shock damage, capable of KOing targets 50% further out than the Longhorn. This is what snipers should be doing, killing at further ranges, so the Longhorn loses here, allowing for much higher zeroing as well with a PU scope on the Mosin and firing twice as fast with its rounds per minute, putting the Longhorn somewhere between the medium tier rifles and the low tier sniper rifles, which is still very good for a pistol. Finally, for the stats, the length of the Longhorn isn't very long. In fact, it's the shortest weapon in DayZ, which I'm sure will probably get fixed. Judging by what you've seen in this video, has the re-added Longhorn lived up to your expectations, and will you be using it as a sidearm in DayZ 1.17 when it does release to stable? Let me know in the comments, and if you haven't yet, check out my CR550 Savannah sniper rifle breakdown here, because it's an epic weapon that rivals some of the best sniper rifles in DayZ. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good day.